Season 2, Episode 3, my review, and my top 3 most wanted hot toys from the episode. This is 6 Scale Economist. Let's jump right into it. What is going on, welcome to another video. This is 6 Scale Economist. As I said in the intro, today we're doing my review of Season 2, Episode 3 of The Mandalorian. I believe it's Chapter 13 that we're on. Just as a spoiler warning, of course, I will have spoilers in this review, so if you have not seen this episode, do yourself a favor, go out there, get out there, and watch that episode, but let's jump right into the review. Okay, rather than just give a play-by-play on what happened in the episode, we all know what happened in the episode, I'm just going to give my review on it. I absolutely loved it. This, in my mind, was not my favorite episode of the show so far, but I actually think the most important episode that we have had so far. This is why. Okay, so, in Season 1, Season 1 was great. You know, we got to see a lot of, Star Wars things, a lot of things that pleased all the fans, you know, like all the ships and all the, nods and references. And then you had this really interesting plot point of the Mandalorian finding this baby Yoda, this child, and then now he has to try and figure out, what this is, why all these people are after him. Now he kind of has to protect him. And then at the end, obviously, you get the quest where now he has to go return him to the people that he's from. And it was a pretty interesting plot point, right? Pretty linear. It's kind of just here's the problem, that's the solution, and then let's get to the solution. So, that's interesting in and of itself, but one thing I was constantly worried about with The Mandalorian, I was like, man, is this whole, Baby Yoda thing gonna get kind of old at some point? It's just basically one plot that we're following. And so, that's why this episode was incredibly important, because in this episode, now you still have, obviously, that main plot, where the Mandalorian has to return Baby Yoda to his home, but now we meet Bo-Katan. Awesome. Incredible character, obviously, from the Clone Wars. And for those of you that haven't seen Clone Wars, I would definitely recommend at least watching the episodes with Bo-Katan and, all of the Mandalorian episodes on Mandalore, because she's, a pretty important character. Backdrop, basically, Bo-Katan was part of, Mandalorian lived on Mandalore, and she was the sister of the ruler of Mandalore. But she also joined this organization called Death Watch, which she references in the show. And Death Watch is basically, this kind of extremist version of Mandalorians that are much more traditional, and they're more about, supreme race and kind of being the best, and not really, with the view that the planet of Mandalore was going for, which was this more neutral, doesn't want to be too aggressive of an organization where you have this Death Watch that really wants to regain power and I guess maybe just have people respect them. And so she ended up, long story short, joining Death Watch, serving with Pre Vizsla. Spoiler for Clone Wars, you haven't seen Clone Wars, you don't want to listen to this part, but basically Darth Maul basically comes, kills Pre Vizsla, takes the Darksaber, becomes ruler of Mandalore. Bo-Katan doesn't really like that, so she ends up teaming up with her sister Satine, who was the princess of Mandalore, and they basically go through this whole debacle. And what you get from it is you get this really interesting backstory of Bo-Katan, which makes a lot more sense when you actually watch this episode, because now you see her back, and she wants the Darksaber from Moff Gideon, and she wants to return Mandalore to what it was. And why is this so important for the overall show of The Mandalorian? It's because, as I mentioned before, you had this linear plot where it was just, Mandalorian trying to return Baby Yoda home. But now you have this super interesting subplot that, in my mind, can actually become, the main theme of the show if they choose to take it in that direction. In that, Bo-Katan wants to return Mandalore to what it was. And the Mandalorian, he seemed somewhat intrigued. Obviously he's going to be standoffish at first. He's no, I'm part of the traditional Mandalores. Mandalorians, we don't take off our helmet or anything. But, I could very easily see the show going in a direction where he's wow, that's pretty cool that, they have this whole planet, and maybe I am part of this regime, Death Watch, that's, a bit more sinister than I am, because we've seen the Mandalorian, he can be he can be a badass, and he can really, kick some butt, but he definitely has a heart, and he doesn't seem he's not willing to kill people if he doesn't have to and things like that, which is definitely not in line with how Death Watch was. So I could see him, seeing Bo-Katan's point of view and being man, I actually wouldn't mind trying to reestablish Mandalore. And then if the show goes in that direction, that could be super interesting. So that's my favorite thing about the episode. Obviously, just all these nods to Clone Wars, seeing Bo-Katan, and then of course, how can you not mention it? Ahsoka. And the fact that Bo-Katan introduced Ahsoka into the show basically was super important to me. Why? When there were speculations that Ahsoka was going to be in the show, I was oh, I mean, that's really, really cool. I'm really excited to see Ahsoka, but if they're just going to jam her and force her into the show to where it doesn't make any sense, I'm going to be kind of bummed. No, no, no. The fact that they have Bo-Katan introducing her makes total sense, because in the Clone Wars, like, obviously they, like, teamed up, especially, like, in the last season, like, you know, like, they were friends and they kind of had, like, a, you know, like, a common goal to get past. So it makes sense that Bo-Katan, like, knows Ahsoka and, like, is kind of, like, cool with her. Like, you know, like, they don't see eye to eye, but, like, you know, like, I kind of roll with her. So, yeah, go see that, like, Jedi over there. And now we're going to see Ahsoka. Absolutely incredible. So I just absolutely love this episode, and it was super important to the longevity of the show, which was something that I thought was great, and that was a great step for them. I'm really excited to see where they take in, you know, in the coming episodes. Okay, so now let's talk about the top 3 hot toys that I want to see from this episode. In no particular order, obviously first one, duh, come on, Bo-Katan. Yes, yes, please. Give me my Bo-Katan. And give me the removable head sculpt, which I'm sure they're going to. Nail that head sculpt, which I'm sure they're going to. This is going to look great. Not only is this going to look great in my collection, but this also intrigues me a lot more to maybe pick up that Death Watch Mandalorian. Which is obviously not the exact same as how this one looks, but, like, you know, that can make it look a lot better. I'd honestly wouldn't mind taking all 3 of them. If they continue to be in the show, you know, in this armor, then I definitely would not mind having all 3 of these hot toys. But if nothing else, I need to have this Bo-Katan, because that helmet is so unique, and having a head sculpt would be incredible. Second figure, I'm not totally, like, I need this figure. There's actually just not a lot of, like, new characters that, like, were introduced that I really want as hot toy, but I wouldn't mind having just some Empire officers in general. Obviously, Titus Welliver, who's the actor who played this, you know, this main baddie Empire guy in the episode, like, obviously, like, again, spoiler alert, he dies in the episode. Really cool way that he dies, too. I thought that was really cool in Moff Gideon. It was, like, for the Empire. And he just, like, but, you know, having some more, you know, people in Empire clothing would not be a bad shout. So, like, you know, maybe a character with, you know, that we see longer in the episode that doesn't die after, like, 20 minutes. But just in general, seeing more people look like Grand Moff Tarkin would be great. Yeah. The final figure. This one, I'm technically kind of cheating, but I can't not. You guys know I have to. Hopefully you see it in the next episode, but come on, give me my Mandalorian Ahsoka. Look, it's not a coincidence that we got this Clone Wars Ahsoka, you know, like 2 months ago. They're probably going to give us a Mandalorian Ahsoka, I imagine, very soon. And it's going to be the same head sculpt, I'm sure, as the Clone Wars one. It's going to be in whatever outfit she's going to appear in the show. But, man, I cannot wait for that. Absolutely going to day one scoop that up. Can't wait to see Ahsoka in the show. Can't wait to see how they represent her. I hope that they don't do anything wrong with her, because she's already so perfect as she is. But, yeah, give me a Mandalorian Ahsoka. But as always, these are just my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section down below. What did you guys think of this episode? Did you guys all agree? Do you guys agree with me that this episode was super important for the longevity of The Mandalorian, and that it really took the show in a direction where, you know, we can really get some in-depth, like, multiple, you know, plots in the story? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, this is Economist. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget that notification bell. Buy the dip, sell the rip. This is the way. We will see you in the next video.